The anger.
You kicked in her door? What you kick in her door for?
I was really upset what was going on.
The violence.
Walked in the door with a box cutter in her hand?
The girl's crazy.
And the guns.
What kind of guns?
Stalled off.
All because of...
While you were with Miss Johnson, you were also with Miss Bailey.
Judge Judy.
He wants to be with me.
I don't understand you.
He wants to be with me. He loves me.
Miss Johnson, you and Mr. Spain live together and have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are no longer a couple.
Yes, ma'am. No,
despite the fact that you both appear today as plaintiffs. My understanding of this rather complex case is that when you and Mr. Spain separated, Mr. Spain began a relationship with the defendant, Miss Bailey. And he, in fact, moved in with her. According to you, you tried to maintain a civil relationship with both of them, with Mr. Spain for the benefit of the children, and for Miss Bailey just because. But Miss Bailey was not happy with you for some reason, and it is your claim that she vandalized your car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her as a co-plaintiff with Mr. Spain, who says that Miss Bailey kept some of his personal property when he moved out of the house because they are no longer together. Miss Bailey says that she did nothing to your car. It's actually you who harassed her, you and Mr. Spain. That it was Mr. Spain who damaged your car.
Correct.
And that you slashed her tires, you caused her to lose her job, and she wants from you, Mr. Spain, rent for the time that you were living with her. She has a counterclaim. All right, let's try to put some dates to these facts. Mr. Spain, when did you and Miss Johnson live together?
About 2000 and...
Maybe I'll ask Miss Johnson.
2. We moved in, was about July 2003.
And how old are your children?
My son is 2 and my daughter is 4.
And when did Mr. Spain move out?
He moved out November 23rd, 2004.
Why?
Because of our differences. It wasn't working out.
When did you move in with Miss Bailey?
About the 26th.
Of what?
Of November.
You knew her from before?
Yes.
From where?
School.
How come you moved in with Miss Bailey?
Because she had asked me to move in with her.
I mean, did you rent a room from her, or were you living together as a couple?
Living together as a couple.
So that while you were with Miss Johnson, you were also with Miss Bailey?
No. She
I mean, it's a short 3 days, sir, you were in somebody else's house.
She had called me on the phone talking to her.
Yeah. When I came home from work, he was on the phone talking to her.
On the 23rd of November?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he moved out and he was living with Miss Bailey. How long did you stay with Miss Bailey, Mr. Spain?
About a month and a half.
Is that right, Miss Bailey?
He moved in November 23rd. He was arrested January the 4th, so that's the last time he lived with me when he got out of jail.
What were you arrested for?
Home invasion.
Burglary?
Nah.
What?
No,
he kicked in the door.
Kicked in her door.
Yeah, he kicked in my door.
You kicked in her door?
Where his kids lay their heads at night.
Shh. What'd you kick in her door for?
Just jealous, and I was really upset what was going on when I was living with her.
Well, so you were annoyed with Miss Bailey, so you kicked in Miss Johnson's door?
Yes.
It's very logical. Getting too old for this job. All right, Miss Johnson, tell me about the vandalism of your car. When did that happen?
December the 16th.
And you were still living with Miss Bailey, is that right, Mr. Spain?
Yes.
In between the time that they were together, it's been harassing phone calls. I mean, he would call, he would get me upset, he would get me upset, just arguing over our relationship, but whatever. Then she would call, and she would play on the phone, repeatedly call, left threatening messages on my voicemail, and I just got, I mean, of course I've defended myself in the argument too, but I guess she got real upset to the point where she wants to come over to my house, and she'd scratch the car.
Well, I want to know, were you home when she scratched the car?
Yeah, I was home, but I was asleep. It happened overnight.
So you didn't see her scratch the car?
No, I didn't see her scratch the car, but I do have a witness with me.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear that witness. Tell me your name, please.
Monica Dykes.
Dykes, did you see on December 16th somebody vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
No, I wasn't with her at the time, but I was at her house. I was spending the night at her house, and she was supposed to go get me something to eat. And
Who was?
Mrs. Bailey. She didn't come back with my food, and I asked her why, and she said because she came in the house with a box cutter, and she said that she had scratched Miss Johnson's car.
Well, how do you know Miss Bailey?
They were going together. This is my brother.
When she came home, she just took out the box cutter and told you? What did she do?
No, she had the box cutter in her hand.
Walked in the door with the box cutter in her hand?
It was in her pocket, and she took it out.
Well, tell me about that. I'm curious about that whole moment when she walked into the house with the box cutter in her pocket.
When she walked into the house, I was like, well, what happened to the Burger King that you're supposed to bring back? She said, well, Burger King was closed, and I just came back from around Mrs. Johnson's house, and I scratched the car up, and I hope she come around here with some...
She's lying.
So what did you say to her?
Nothing. I didn't say anything after that.
She's lying.
You didn't say, why would you do that?
Well, I asked her why. She said, because she just been harassing me and all this other stuff.
Did she tell you what she'd been doing to harass you?
She said that Miss Johnson has been calling her house numerous of times.
So they were speed dialing each other.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Miss Bailey, now I'll hear from you.
Thank you so much. First of all, he moved in my home November 23rd of 2004. He moved out because he went to jail for kicking in her door. I was pregnant at the time with his kid. So when he got out of jail, I no longer want him in my home anymore. So while the process he's been in jail, me and Christina Stovall right here took all of his belongings.
I'm not at his claim yet, Miss Bailey.
Oh, okay. Well, where are we at?
I'm keying her car.
Oh, keying her car, and he keyed her car, and the night that he got arrested, he came over to my house bragging about keying her car in as well as kicking her door in. Why would I key her car? He kicked the key. I mean, he keyed the car in and kicked the door, and he know he did.
I was there.
If he's gonna kick her door in, she's gonna key her car.
She's lying.
Whatever, you lying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
And later today,
Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. Step up. Tell me your name.
Christina Stovall.
You said that you were present when Mr. Spain acknowledged that he vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
Yes.
When was that?
January 4th.
Tell me about what he said.
Me and Tequila and her two sisters were in the living room. He came in through the door. He was sweating, walking around. You could tell he had did something. This is what he said. He said, I keyed in her car, I kicked in her door, and the police is coming. So Tequila said, let's go upstairs and talk about it.
Yeah, but the police report...
He did it at
He did it what?
He did it at 2 different times. When he keyed in her car a couple days before he kicked in her door. But he came in bragging about both of it.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. He keyed her car. I don't know what he keyed the car in, but the night he got arrested...
Listen to me very carefully. Where did you spend Christmas?
At my house.
Did you see Miss Bailey?
I see her every day, all the time.
And what about Mr. Spain? Did you see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Shut up!
I used to go to school with him. I
So
used to go to
listen
the candy
me.
store. He
Listen
knows
to
who
me.
I am.
Okay. So you know them both, and you saw them between December 16th and January 4th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you're telling me is on January 4th, he acknowledged keying her car.
Because he came in all nervous.
All right. But the police report is from December 16th. Why in the world would he come in all nervous and hyper and confess to something that he had done on December 16th?
He already confessed to me a long time ago about it.
Because he was scared.
He was bragging.
Sit down.
Okay.
Good. Very good. No, I believe that he kicked in her door, but on December 16th, I believe her when she says that you went out to get her some Burger King and you came back and you keyed her car.
Nah.
Yeah, no.
Nah.
Okay, now, What stuff do you claim that you left at Miss Bailey's home?
A radio, TVs, CDs, DVDs, weights.
Where's all his stuff?
We took 2 trips to her mom and his mom's house, and he knows and she knows. As a matter of fact, I had Matt come get the guns that was in my house. They don't have any permits for.
What kind of guns?
Sawed-offs.
BB guns.
Sawed-offs.
Who is this gentleman?
That's my friend.
What does he have to do with this case?
His weights are in her house.
He helped haul her belongings over to her house.
And we hauled it right back. And I don't know what your father did with him, but we hauled it right back.
A few baskets over to his house. This is when he was locked up.
TV returned?
No. And she brought me my shoes, and she brought my shoes, a box full of my shoes, and my motor control was in the box.
What kind of television did he bring to your house? Look at me directly. Don't look at the floor.
I'm looking at you. I don't know exactly what kind of television was. It was little black box television.
Where is it?
At his mama's house. Me and her took 2 trips to Hallville, Indiana, to give him their stuff. But he got locked up from my house. I got a letter in my mail from my landlord saying that if they find him or anything of his in my house again, I will be in court for eviction because he was not on my lease. So I quickly took all his stuff to his mother's house. All his stuff. He knows it.
She is lying.
Now, Miss Bailey, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me about your counterclaim. You think that Mr. Spain should pay you for rent?
Yes.
What kind of contract did you have with him for your
We didn't
rent?
have anything written down, signed, because when you're supposedly having a relationship, you don't do that. But we have verbal. You're going to pay half on everything. You're not going to stay in my house and lay up and sleep, and not pay nothing on anything.
Miss Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
We live in a civilized society. So I want you to leave your gutter language outside.
I can do that. That's fine.
And you're going to wait until I'm finished speaking before you open your mouth.
Okay.
You're going to leave your gutter language outside, and you're going to remember where you are. We understand each other?
We do.
Perfect.
Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
I believe that after he moved out, you wanted money, but I don't believe you had an agreement with him to pay you half of everything.
Somebody can't stay with me.
Listen to me. Next.
First of all, my tires were slashed. I couldn't get to work. I had to call in to get my car fixed. Second of all, they're playing my phone. He's coming to my job, my new job and my old job, harassing on me on my job.
Well, just a second. What did he say when he came to your job?
I broke up with him. He wants to be with me. He loves me. He wants to be a family. Let's make it work. I don't want to be with you. I want to be a family. Go raise your 2 kids with Kimberly.
Just a second. I don't understand you.
What do you mean?
You're talking too fast.
I talk fast all the time. I know. He wants to be with me.
So he came to you telling you that he wanted to be with you, he wanted to be a family.
Making a scene. Yeah, making a scene at work. He wanted to be with me.
And that's why you got fired.
That, and I had to call in because I was pregnant with his child, and while he was in jail. I couldn't work. I was sick.
I mean, you think that he's responsible for you?
Yeah, he helped me make the baby. Yeah.
What?
He helped make the baby. Yeah, he's responsible.
That's not a lawsuit.
It is mine.
It's not one that I'm going to hear.
That's fine, Miss Judge Judy.
It's not one that I'm going to hear. How many children do you have?
I have 1.
Okay. So you know how babies are made, right?
I do.
If you don't want to have the baby, then what you do is you take precautions so that you don't have a baby. If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
Right.
Can I see pictures of your car?
Yes. Yeah, Your Honor, she scratched the whole driver's side, and she also...
Can I just see the pictures of the car?
My boyfriend.
Okay. Did you have these scratches taken care of?
No, ma'am.
Do you have an estimate on how much it's going to cost
Yes,
to have
ma'am,
the
I do.
scratches taken care of? That's a reasonable estimate. Listen, there is no question in my mind that the 2 of you women behaved badly towards each other, right?
Right.
I think Mr. Spain behaved badly, too. Listen, Miss Bailey, don't get in between people. It's always a very bad idea. If someone has a fight with his wife, woman, girlfriend, whatever it is, and if you take him in the day that he had a fight, and then if you make a baby with him, that makes you a smart woman who's not acting too smart, or a stupid woman who's not acting too smart. I don't know which one you are.
I was stupid.
But whoever you are, you owe her $600 to have a car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I ain't even mad, though. That's the whole thing. I ain't even mad. I'm cool. I'm cool.
She's a liar. She's crazy. She needs some mental health.
I don't need anything from any one of them. And I'm still making, I'm still strong, sitting on my own 2 feet.
That's the devil right there.
Thing is, I got fists. Come on, bring it. Bring it, because I'm ready. Straight up, I'm ready.
The girl's crazy. And you seen it in there. She crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ford versus Tarrant. Step forward, please.
Barber Glenn Ford is suing his former lover, office technician Elizabeth Tarrant, for the balance on a 1988 Toyota Celica he bought for her daughter.
Mr. Ford, it is your claim that Miss Tarrant, with whom you were briefly involved, owes you money for a car that you purchased for her daughter and for impound fees later when the car was impounded because her daughter didn't have a driver's license. Ms. Tarrant indicates that both of those things were gifts and you did not seek any money until after she decided she no longer wanted to be involved in a committed relationship with you. Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
Fine. Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady. Mr. Ford, can you explain to me why this is a relatively new purchase? According to your complaint, the car was purchased for her daughter sometime in February, correct?
In March.
So it was driven by her for a relatively short period of time. Why don't you just sell it?
The reason why I don't want to sell it, because I'm really not in this business of selling car. I had purchased the car for Elizabeth because she needed a car for her daughter. And it was an understanding, a mutual understanding between us two, and a contract that we had, which she didn't sign.
Well, then I'm not interested in it, sir. My question to you is a very practical one. This is a relationship that clearly was not going anywhere. The only nexus tie that you had to each other was this car. You got the car back, and I understand that you're not in the car business, but I don't know what your losses are.
Well, the car was impound, and she had agreed to pay me for the impound fees. I had to get the car out of impound, and the only way that I was able to get the car out of impound was that her daughter had to have a driver's license, so they could release the car to me from out of impound. I took her daughter to get a driver's license, and she had a driver's license, and I went to pick up the car from the impound. I incurred losses there. Now, she agreed that she would pay for these losses that I had incurred.
You mean for the impound fees?
For the impound, yes.
That's not unreasonable. What do you do for a living, Mr. Ford?
I'm a barber.
Is it your own business?
Yes, it is.
Then you're a businessman, Mr. Ford, and you appear to be an intelligent person. Right? You may not know a lot about cars. I don't know a lot about cars either. But I know that if I had a piece of property in my possession, in this case a car, and I had the title to it, which you do at this point because she signed it over to you, before I would bring her to court, I would put an ad in the paper, a sign in the window, and I would say I want to sell this car and see what I get for it. And then you won't be out any money unless you just wanted to bust her chops. So, Mr. Ford, before you come to court, go sell the car and see if you come up with a shortfall on the money you laid out. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He loved me so much that he just wanted me to keep me around, and that's why he did the things he did.
She would never, ever return my phone calls, and she would never talk to me about this.
There was a protective order against him for harassing me and doing things like that, and I think it's the same thing.
Maria Prieto claims her son's former friend, James Alfter, started a fire in her home while trying to grow marijuana.
Ms. Prieto, you rented a house to the defendant?
That's correct.
And it is your claim that he is responsible for a fire in your home that resulted in damage. Some of the damage was covered by insurance, but a great deal of it was not covered by insurance, and you want him to pay the balance.
That's correct.
Your out-of-pocket expenses. Mr. Alfter?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yes, ma'am.
You look petrified. Are you scared of me?
No.
You should be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mr. Alfter says that your homeowner's insurance should have covered whatever losses there were. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and it was just an accident. That's your defense.
Yes.
Your Honor, I disagree.
Just. How old are you, sir?
20.
When did you move out of your home?
I've been on my own since I was about 18.
And how have you been taking care of yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Family business.
What kind of business?
Construction. Do concrete work.
Whose business is it?
It's my grandfather's.
Who else works there?
The crew, my dad, my brothers.
So it's a big business?
Yeah.
It's a lucrative business?
Yeah.
How much? Yes, try yes.
Yes.
How much do you get paid?
$30 an hour.
And you work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week?
40-hour weeks.
So you've got money in the bank?
I'm all right.
What?
I said I'm all right. Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
Shape? Do you work out?
Yes.
You work out at home or in a gym?
The gym.
You have a gym membership?
Yes.
I ask you all these questions, sir, because I'm trying to find out a little bit about you. Because this complaint says, Mr. Alfter, that the fire that started in Miss Prieto's house, on what date?
September the 12th.
On what date did he move into the house?
He moved in July 1st.
Was started because in your bedroom, right?
In master bedroom, correct.
People usually sleep in the master bedroom, right?
Yes.
How many bedrooms were there in the house?
5.
How many people were living in the house?
Just 2.
You and who else?
Me and my roommate.
Male or female?
No.
So that those were 2 bedrooms. You don't spend the night with your roommate, right? You each have your own bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But I guess you didn't want you or your roommate to get the master bedrooms, because then it would be unequal, so that you each stayed in other bedrooms.
Yes.
And you were using your master bedroom to grow marijuana. You actually hadn't brought in the plants yet, according to the complaint and the answer, but it was all set up with a whole bunch of lights, right?
Yes, there's equipment.
I mean, you weren't planning on shooting a film in there, were you?
No.
You were going to grow marijuana.
Yes.
What were you going to do with it when you grew it?
Well, I have anxiety, and I was going to try to get my card, cannabis card.
You have anxiety?
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Your parents are alive?
Yes.
Did they know you were coming here today?
Yes.
Did they know that 10 million people were going to be watching you today?
Yes.
Did they offer you any warning, sir?
Yes.
And I know that it's not relevant to the case, but I, because I am a mother, would like to know what your parents said to you.
They told me I better learn my lesson.
Both of them?
Yes.
Sounds like my kind of people. Who do you expect to pay for these damages that weren't covered by Miss Prieto's insurance as a result of your lunacy in trying to start a marijuana farm in her house?
Myself.
Right. So why didn't you just pay her, sir? Why did you force her to come here? You know, I mean, I know that she looks lovely and she appears to be a very nice lady, but why didn't you just say, I'm really sorry, I acted like an idiot, I'm 20 years old, I'm not fully grown up yet. You know, just help me out here. It'll never happen again. I'm going to cut my hair so I can see. You know, all of those things.
The sum, that amount that she wanted was pretty high. I thought the insurance would have covered it, but I was going to pay the deductible.
Yeah, but the insurance company didn't, for instance, pay for all the landscaping around the house that was singed.
But when I moved in the house, the land or the landscaping wasn't too caught up.
May not have been too caught up. What about the fact that she didn't have the use of her house for a while?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's my fault.
So who should pay for that?
Myself.
Yes, ma'am. Can I see the bills, please?
Sure. Oh. And I have pictures also.
Should have listened to your parents, Mr. Alfter. Father's a pretty tough guy?
Yeah.
Are you using your real name today, sir?
Yes.
Is your father's last name the same as yours?
Yes.
Look what you did to her house. Bird, look what he did to her house. You planned on smoking an awful lot of weed, sir, for your anxiety. Why don't you go to a therapist?
I don't know.
Well, I would try a therapist before I would start farming again. Who helped you with all this, sir?
I did it myself.
What about your roommate?
No, well, he helped a little bit.
Was he going to be your partner?
No.
What does he do for a living?
He works.
For whom?
He does construction, too.
For your father?
No. No.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, as far as all that equipment he purchased, and it was worth over supposedly $6 grand, and he didn't have money to pay the rent. So he had money to go out there and buy all that, plus, you know, start his little lab thing. But on the other hand, he's making $30 an hour, and he could have just stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to pay you. Even payments. I said, can you make payments? And he's like, yeah, I will. Never followed through.
He's very anxious because he's not smart. And unless he gets smarter, he's going to remain anxious. Do you understand? Say sorry.
Sorry.
Not to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, that's all.
Jennifer Day is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Spencer Fenimore, for breaking a lease. Spencer claims there was no lease to break.
Miss Day, you and Mr. Fenimore lived together for a period of time, signed a lease on an apartment, lived together during the course of that lease. The lease was renewed, according to you, for another 6 months, and Mr. Fenimore moved out after a month or so. You want him to be responsible for his half of the remainder of the lease. Mr. Fenimore, while he acknowledges that you signed an initial lease together, his defense is that he did not sign the renewal that you must have signed for him. You knew that he was intending to leave, that things weren't going well between the two of you, and he is not responsible for the second part of the lease. So can I see the first lease that you signed? When did you move in together?
It was, I believe, December 2004.
Well, the lease was signed November 2005.
I think it was 2004. I'm not real correct on that.
Well, what am I looking at? November 29, 2005. What?
That's probably our renewal lease.
I didn't ask for the renewal. I asked for the original lease.
This isn't the actual lease, but it's part of the first lease that has the 12/8/04 date that Spencer was speaking of.
Can I see it, please? Yeah. Okay. So the original was signed on 12/8/04, and you claim the renewal was signed by him on November 29th, 2005.
That's correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sign the renewal?
Yes.
You said in your answer you didn't sign the renewal.
I signed the renewal that went from November 2005 until May 2006. She's suing me from May 2006 to November 2006.
Got it. So who has that renewal?
The one that I handed to you shows that we went in the office and verbally renewed, and I have a letter from the office dated June 1st.
You can't verbally renew. Cannot verbally renew a 6-month lease. That's ridiculous. He says he did not renew the lease. You have no proof that he did renew the lease.
If he didn't want to renew the lease, Your Honor, he shouldn't have stayed there till July.
Because then you can have a month-to-month tenancy.
Okay.
You can have a month-to-month tenancy and pay every month until the landlord says, listen, I don't want to give you a month-to-month tenancy anymore. You have to leave within 30 days. Then you leave. Right. But you can't obligate him. Sorry. Case is dismissed.
John Allen claims former friend Karen Stevenson owes for a loan of $1,800.
Mr. Allen, it is your claim that the defendant borrowed some money from you. She's a former girlfriend of yours. Ms. Stevenson says that you're a con guy. She never borrowed any money from you. She doesn't know what you're talking about. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Okay. Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we decided to part ways, and we remained friends. On about the middle of September, about a week before I actually loaned her the money, she called me in desperation, said Lisa had taken a checkbook that no longer existed, a checking account, wrote a check out for $1,800. She needed money, that the bank was pressing charges, and
she wrote out a bad check?
Yes, Lisa.
Is Lisa here?
No.
Where is she?
She lives in Florida.
Who does she live with in Florida?
Herself.
What does she do for a living?
She's a cashier.
Ever been arrested?
No.
Ever been charged with a crime?
Lisa? No.
Lisa?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
So at the time, when she called me, she said, I need this money. If I don't pay this $1,800 back.
For Lisa?
For Lisa, they're going to arrest me because it was drawn on my bank account. So...
Oh, just a minute. Where do you live?
Salisbury, Maryland.
You live in Maryland, and somehow Lisa got hold of one of her old checkbooks.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa forged a check for $1,800.
Yes.
But there was no longer an account.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa cashed a check in Florida.
Somewhere, I don't know actually, when she said, but it was a check written on this account, and it bounced, so the bank was going to press charges, and if she didn't pay the money back, they were going to put her in jail.
Put who in jail?
Karen.
It's not true.
She didn't write a bad check.
Well, that's what she told me, ma'am.
That sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't that sound ridiculous? How old are you?
I'm 40, be 42 in March, ma'am.
42. What do you do for a living?
I have a few businesses. I'm going back to school, getting my real estate degree, and
What kind of businesses do you have?
I have a business running a company. I started in 1990.
What does it make? What does it do?
Well, I buy and resell food as like a Cisco or a U.S. food service.
You do that now?
No, right now I am in the process of going back to school. The company.
So now you don't do anything?
No, the company still exists. I'm collecting my accounts receivables and stuff like that. Yes, ma'am. I'm still in the process. I have real estate I'm selling. I do various different things.
Who do you live with?
I live with my brother right now. I'm in the process of selling my real estate, my home.
You're in the process of doing an awful lot, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you in the process of going through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am.
Did you go through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Did you ever apply for a bankruptcy?
No,
Did you
ma'am.
ever consult with a lawyer about a bankruptcy?
Yes, I have.
When?
I consult with my lawyer in September, August, September, October, just discussing.
September of 2006?
Yes, ma'am.
About the same time that she was asking for some money?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why would you consult with an attorney about a bankruptcy, sir?
I'd just gone through a divorce that, you know, the settlement of property had to be dispersed. I had loans with my company, just seeking my different options, you know, out there. It was discussed, but it was never gone through. I'm in a process of selling my assets to pay debts. That was my choice to do it that way. You know, I want to make sure all of my bills are paid. That's why I'm selling my home, other real estate. I have a $1.5 million piece of business real estate that I'm in the process of selling.
What's the mortgage on it?
$790,000.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in June of '04.
In whose name is it?
It's in my company's name.
Which is?
Paradise Produce Company Incorporated.
Who else is a partner in Paradise Produce?
Nobody. I'm
current on your mortgage payments?
Not at this time, no. They are in the process of being sold right now.
Is there a contract for the sale of the property?
Yes, there is a contract for the sale of the property. It's pending on other things, you know, that's going on in the community. So,
You got a lot going
yes,
on in
ma'am, I
your
do.
life, Mr.
I'm a very
Allen.
active man.
You're got a lot going on.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, so she asked you for this $1,800, and what did you do, sir? I just wanted to get a sense, because I have to figure out who's pulling my leg and who's not.
I wrote her this check out from one of my bank accounts. I have numerous bank accounts because I have personal things, business things, and all that. And I actually wrote it out to her name and put loan on the memo. I handed this check to her on September 26th, and she took it, and I said, you can go right down the road and cash this check at my bank.
Where did you give it to her?
I gave it to her in the shopping center parking lot. I met her in Del Mar, Delaware, on the Delaware side. So that night, she called me back. She says, well, I don't think I can cash this check. I've lost my license, and I don't have a current checking account. I said, well, you can go right to the bank and cash this. I said, I made it out to you, and there's money in the checking account. She said, no, I'd rather you go to the bank and cash a check. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I said, but I would need this other check back. So the next day, I went to Laurie. This is my witness, Laurie Collins. Can I bring her forward, Judge? Or?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of John's.
What kind of a friend?
Close family friend for over 30 years.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went by Laurie's house. I discussed it with Laurie. I said, Laurie, I'm going to probably loan some money. I have loaned some money. She wants me to take the check back and go to the bank and cash the check and give her the $1,800. And Laurie said, well, just make sure that you keep this check here, the first check, if she gives it back to you.
First check is of no value.
Right.
Unless I can test for fingerprints on it.
Right. And then the second check is I wrote her name in the memo that I cashed this check. Here's
yeah,
the
well, that's what you wrote.
And I went to the bank.
You cashed the check and wrote her name in the memo.
Right. So I told Laurie, I said, Laurie, I have loaned this lady some money. I said, as a friend, I just wanted somebody to know that I had loaned her the money.
Was she there when you gave her the money?
No, ma'am.
Good. Sit down.
And at the time I wrote the check out, I have bank accounts with different amount of figures in it. You know, right now, $25,000 on this. If I needed it, she claims that I needed the money for myself. I don't need it.
Just show me the account where you took out the $1,800.
Yes, right there.
Okay.
Your Honor, he states that the first check that he wrote me, he had $1,800 in that account. That's the check he first gave me. I subpoenaed his bank records. $1,800 was not in there. He had
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. He had $72.79 in that account.
Let me see. Can I see that check, please? Sir, you wrote her a check on 9/26 for $1,800. You didn't have $1,800 in that account.
Right.
On which you wrote this $1,800 check.
Right.
Well, why would you write her an $1,800 check and tell her to go?
Because I was going to make a deposit in the account. I moved money from different checking accounts. I have interest-bearing accounts with my business and everything like that. I move money when I need money to pay bills, like
yeah,
in
but
the
you
business.
didn't move any money here, sir. You didn't move any money here. 3 days later,
She gave me the check back because she said that she couldn't cash it.
I understand that.
Because she didn't have a
listen
license.
to me.
Yes, ma'am.
That was not the same day, sir. You already testified. It was the next day that she called you and said, I don't have a driver's license,
ma'am.
and therefore I can't cash this check.
Right.
Now, you had already told her to go and cash the check, which she could have done on 9/26.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? On 9/26, if she went to your bank,
Yes, ma'am.
and deposited that check, they would not have cashed that check because there was no balance in
They
that
could have
account.
moved the money from my business account, which is with the same bank, to cover my overdraft.
There's no overdraft privilege in here.
I'm sorry, I did lend this lady some money.
Go ahead.
He also says he gave me the $1,800. I was leaving that day to go out of town for a wedding. I was running around getting my nails done, my hair done. He didn't give me $1,800.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, let's start out with the conversation that you had with him about Lisa.
There was no conversation about Lisa. He knows she was in town for maybe a week or two. She moved back to Florida. I don't have a checking account. I don't have any checks. I haven't had a checking account in 3 years.
So you never had a discussion with him about a loan?
No.
Never had a discussion with him about giving you any money?
No.
Why do you think he would make up this convoluted story?
Your Honor, his business account had been frozen because he owes so many people money. Okay? He couldn't even make payroll. John and I continued to talk. We were good friends. He wanted me to help him take the money out of his county bank and put in a safety deposit box, put in my name, and he wanted to put the cash in there so they couldn't touch that money. Then I told him I didn't want to be involved in that because they're going to want to know where this $21,000 is. I didn't want that in my name. I didn't want any part of that. He tried to get several people to do that, and I wouldn't do it.
So what you're saying is he tried to get several people to accept checks?
Yes.
From him?
Yes.
And squirrel away the money?
Yes.
In the event he decided to go through this with this bankruptcy?
Absolutely.
Keep going.
I mean, he says in one statement that I was supposed to pay him back in 2 weeks. John and I continue to be friends. He had a surprise birthday party for his brother. I was invited.
Don't tell me. Just tell me about the money.
There was.
When you told him that you didn't want to participate in this scheme,
yes,
what did he say to you?
That he had a couple other people that were thinking about taking the money and putting it in a safety deposit box, storing his personal property so it wouldn't be auctioned off, which it has been.
What personal property did he want to store with you?
Pool tables, big screen TV, four-wheeler, living room furniture, kitchen furniture, I mean, bedroom suites. He had a 2-story house fully furnished. All that stuff has been auctioned off.
They've been auctioned off by whom?
An auctioneer.
At whose?
I guess at his request. I really don't know. I know that his house was for sale.
Did you have an auction?
Yes, ma'am, I did. To pay my debts and everything. The pool table, big screen TV, all that stuff was auctioned off to pay debts that I incurred during the divorce. I am in process of selling 2 pieces of property, a business piece of property, all my assets to pay my debts. I am not filing for bankruptcy. I am
Well,
going to be
it's a little
paying.
more difficult now to file for bankruptcy,
Yes, ma'am.
sir, because what you're suggesting to me is if you own a piece of property that's worth $1.5 million and you have a $790,000 mortgage,
Yes, ma'am.
if you file for bankruptcy, you're not going to see any of that money.
Yes, ma'am.
So in order to see any of that money, if you pay off your creditors now, then you'll be able to maybe walk away with a couple $100,000.
No, ma'am, I'm not going to walk away with anything. My assets are about $2.2 million. I owe about 2.1. So, time I pay auctioneers, you know, realtors, all that stuff.
So it doesn't pay for you. So you have assets of $2 million and you have debts of about the same. So you can't go into bankruptcy. That
Right.
doesn't mean you're bankrupt. It just means that you have to go to work. Business people, you have mortgages, you have attorneys, you have
Right.
all kinds of other things. And you're not unfamiliar with court.
Yes, ma'am.
So here you come to a court and you say, I made a loan to this lady. Put your hand down. I made a loan to this lady. I did not memorialize that loan in any way. This check is of no value.
Right.
Because she never endorsed it. I can take out my checkbook and write out a check to Petrie Hawkins Bird in the amount of $10,000 and say, I gave him this check.
Right.
He gave it back to me, and I gave him the 10 grand in cash. And this is some evidence that I gave him that money, right?
Right.
I didn't give you any money to him. No. So this is evidence of nothing.
Right.
The only evidence that it is, sir, is that she subpoenaed this bank account, which says at the time you allegedly wrote this check out to her, you didn't have sufficient money to cover the check in the bank.
Right.
Now, you did have another bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you could have written a check that would have cleared.
Right.
As a matter of fact, according to you, you did just that 3 days later. You didn't go to this bank, where you could have moved money around. You went to this bank, where you took out $1,800. All of this leaves me with a very uneasy feeling, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I have a very uneasy feeling, sir, the fact that you brought a witness that says that you told her all about this loan is of no value. So, Mr. Allen, it is possible, just possible, that you loaned her $1,800.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You understand my problem with your proof, sir?
I understand. I understand.
Are you sympathetic with me, sir?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
David McLaughlin and Rachel Browning say former landlords Michael Moreland and Janae Cooper owe for the return of a deposit and for false charges made to police. The defendants are countersuing for rent.
Okay. According to the complaint, you rented a house from the defendants. You gave them a deposit in order to move in. You moved in. You said the house was in deplorable condition. You want your deposit back. You want hotel stay and punitive damages for filing false charges against you with Child Protective Services. The defendants say that you owe them for rent and something that you stole when you left, right?
Yes.
That's what the case is about. Okay. You have children together?
No.
You have children who lived in the house?
Yes.
How many?
Two, my daughter Michaela, who's 5 now, and her son Austin, who's 6.
And how long have the two of you been together?
We've been together a year.
Okay. Where were you living before you rented the house from the defendants?
Back in January, I bought a house with my ex-wife, and she filed for divorce about 2 or 3 days after we actually signed for the house. So I had to move out by March 1st so I could get into a house with Rachel, because I knew Rachel from high school. So
I mean, are you a couple, or are you just sharing a house?
We're a couple.
Go ahead.
We actually got married January 4th of this year.
Okay, so you had to get out fast of your living situation. Did you answer an ad for the defendant's house?
No, we actually were driving around trying to find something. We know I don't have great credit.
Listen, you drove around. Was there a for rent sign?
Yeah, there was a for rent sign.
And you called?
I called the number. And
in
I
what month?
Middle of March. We called about the first 2 weeks of March. And she told me that they had a house for rent, that they had to fix it up a little bit, and that we could look at it the next day. When we met them the next day, I looked at it.
And? It
was pretty bad. They had like 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 couches in the living room with a bunch of tables, and it was just everywhere. There was stuff everywhere, every room. And he said he'd have it done by the 1st of April. And then he told us the deposit was $1,850, which is the first month's rent, which is $950 plus $900. And he'll have everything done by the 1st. And I told him that I have a 401k check coming in, my thing from work, and it would be, and it was $1,300. And then I was going to borrow the money from my grandparents and my mom.
Listen, that's a little too much information for me. You saw the house. It was in deplorable condition. You said you wanted the house as of when?
As of April 1st.
Did you sign a lease?
We did sign a lease. And,
I'd like to see it.
This is the original copy of it.
That provided that you were going to move in on April the 3rd for 6 months. Okay. Did you move in on April the 3rd?
No, he kept saying he had no electricity, he had no water in the house. So we turned on the electricity at the end of March so he could get the paint done in my name. And he had no water in the house, and he owed $300 or $400 for the water. So he had to pay that off so he could get the water running. And then he'd never had anybody come up there to fix it.
Listen to me. When did you move in?
May 3rd.
You moved in a month late?
A month late. My parents came up from New York, and
I don't care if your parents came up from New York, sir. I have some specific questions. May 3rd you moved in, right?
Yes.
And you gave them the money when?
April 10th. Because I gave him $900 before April 3rd, and then we gave him the rest of the money when my parents came up. And I got pictures of the house, the way it looked before he actually fixed it.
I don't care what it looked like before he fixed it.
Okay.
That's irrelevant to me. And when did you move out of the house?
The first week of September, because he had a deposit and I was going through divorce and I had a lot of bills I had to pay.
I don't care. So you had to give him first and last.
I got him deposit and first month's rent.
So the deposit was for any damage that might be done and first month's rent.
Yes.
So you owed him rent in June.
Yes.
Did you pay him?
No.
Why not?
He never came to fix our house. My daughter's room had no carpet.
Just a second. Was there carpet before you moved in?
No, not my daughter's room.
Is there anything in the lease that provides that he has to provide for carpet?
It has to be livable. That's
No. Not everybody likes carpet, sir. Is there anything in this lease that provides that he has to provide carpet?
I'm pretty sure it does say something, and
Show me. I don't want to have to read the whole thing. Take a look. Show me where it says that your daughter's room has to be carpeted.
It says something about the conditions of the premises, including all grounds and buildings and improvements, unless they...
Listen to me. The word carpet.
I don't see carpet in here.
So the lease does not provide for carpet.
No.
Okay, so you didn't pay him for June. Your daughter's room had no carpet.
And her son's room had really old carpet. He said he was going to change in there. It was like shag carpet, and the whole house was completely destroyed.
Listen to me. You moved into it.
Yes.
If it wasn't ready, don't move in. So you moved in, and you didn't pay June's rent.
Yes.
Did you pay July's rent?
No. We had no...
Okay. Don't go there, sir.
Sorry.
I don't want to hear, you're fetching and complaining. You moved your family in, and as soon as you moved in, you stopped paying rent. That's what happened. I mean, that's the objective data.
Yeah.
You moved in, and you stopped paying rent. No June, no July, no August.
Yes.
And what were you doing with the rent money?
I was putting it toward my bills that I had from my divorce. I had a car that was 2 months behind, and like that. And we had a problem with her insurance and stuff at work. But the house was not livable. My dad.
Listen to me. If the house isn't livable, you move out. If it's not livable, you don't move in. And if it's not livable, you move out. You don't scam the landlord by moving in and saying, now I'm here. Now you can't get me out.
I had nowhere to live.
That's not his problem. Is he related to you by blood?
No.
Who cares if you have nowhere to live? Go live with a relative. Go live with your mother. Go live with your father. Go live with your sister. Go live with your brother. But don't move into a stranger's house and say, no, I'm not going to pay rent because I got bills for my divorce.
I mean, we gave him $1,800 for the month. He never came and fixed it.
Just a second.
Okay.
I gave you credit for May's rent. Because he wouldn't have let you move in unless you gave him the 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? So you gave him the 2 months, and then you stopped paying him. Outrageous. I mean, you're a squatter. And it's an old scam. You got yourself in, you move yourself in, you say, listen, it's going to take the courts 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get me out. By that time, they're just going to be so happy to get rid of me that they'll just say, go, forget it. And then you move on to some other unsuspected. Outrageous. You get me?
I get you.
Good. If you don't like an apartment, if you don't like a house, you don't move in. Does that sound right to you? You're the police officer, is that right?
Sounds right, Judge.
Right? Nobody's twisting your arm. You don't like the shag carpet? Don't move in. Doesn't mean that much to you. You move in. You want carpet in your daughter's room? Go to Home Depot. Now, the second part of your complaint is that they called Child Protective Services on you.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, we never called Child Protective Services.
Just a second.
They called the police.
Can I ask quite the question, please? Did they call Child Protective Services?
The police did. Once the police came out.
So they called the police?
Yes.
Mr. Moreland?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me why. What month did you call the police?
August or June, somewhere around there.
Well, August and June are 2 different months.
I'm not sure, Your
Officer,
Honor.
could you stand up, please?
Yes, Judge.
Could you move over there? I know you're not a plaintiff's witness.
Certainly.
But you responded to the location where Mr. McLaughlin and Miss Browning were living.
Yes, I did.
You remember when that was, sir?
It was on June 25th.
And you responded because you got a call about what, sir?
We had a complaint on some photographs containing images of the adults with their children in pornographic poses.
And when you responded to the location, did you find anything?
No, ma'am, we did not. Not anything that related to the complaint.
Okay. Can you describe what you saw when you got to the premises?
When I arrived at the premises, I went inside the residence. The residence was in a messy state. There were boxes every place. It appeared as if somebody was moving out. Some trash, not anything that would be deplorable to live in, but it just appeared to be unorganized and a lot of boxes and packing going on.
But you found nothing untoward?
No.
Were you responsible for calling Child Protective Services?
No, ma'am.
Do you know who did?
More than likely, Any reports that we take involving children in a case such as this gets forwarded to CPS automatically.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Okay. What made either one of you believe that there were photographs in there involving children?
There was, Your Honor. I haven't heard from McLaughlin for several months, and he didn't pay me for about 5 months, and he changed the locks on the premises, which on the lease it states here that if you don't pay rent or if you change the locks, I have the right to enter the premises.
Okay.
So I enter the home, and I see in the living room there's mattresses laying on the floor, 5 to 7 digital cameras laying around.
Did you,
pictures.
Sir, officer, one more thing. When you went into the premises, did you see any mattresses on the floor?
Ma'am, I don't recall if there are any mattresses on the floor. I do remember the complaint of the video cameras. Mr. Moreland believed that there was some type of filming possibly going on involving the children in their rooms. When I responded, I checked on that complaint. I looked at the camera. Nothing that
What kind of
appeared to be-
cameras, sir? Still cameras, movie cameras?
There are several different kinds. Still cameras, some video recorders, camcorders, but nothing.
How many would you say?
Approximately 5 to 7, but they were in broken states. They didn't work. They were not set up on stands. I didn't see any evidence of any type of recording.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you take pictures of what you saw?
Yes, Your Honor, right next to the child's bed. There was an open box of two open boxes, and he also had plenty of time before the police entered the property to dispose of what I seen.
Don't tell me, that's supposition.
It's not carpet. If I like to add some.
These were taken the day that you called the police? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. Officer, would you step up, please?
Yes, ma'am.
This be a fair and accurate representation of the condition of the house when you saw it?
Yes, that does appear to be taken in June.
Thank you. Mr. Moreland was perfectly right to pick up the phone and call the police and have them come to at least look into what was going on in that house. You moved in, according to you, on May the 3rd. This house looks like a disaster area, an absolute disaster area. And I'm not even addressing the pornographic material that's there, which, by the way, you acknowledge that you had in the house, but you say it was, in fact, put away so that the children couldn't reach it. Well, somebody reached it. It may have even been Mr. Moreland, but somebody reached it. I'm not even addressing the pornographic stuff that involved what appeared to be young children, which is weird. The condition of the house would lead a normal person to believe that something wasn't right there. So he had an absolute right to call the police, and the police had an absolute responsibility to call Child Protective Services. So your complaint is dismissed. Now let's get to your counterclaim. You're suing for the rent for the time that they lived there. Rent was how much a month?
$9.50.
When did they move out?
They actually moved out in October. They did not move out in June.
June, July, August, September, October. 5 months. $4,750. Listen, they're scammers.
I know you are.
Period. Squatters and scammers. And based upon the photographs that I saw, not very responsible parents either. Now, you don't mind my not going into this grill that they allegedly took? I don't care about a grill. They owe you for rent. And how much did it cost you, Mr. Moreland and Miss Cooper, to get them out? Or did they just move?
They eventually just moved, but trying to fix up the house after they left, we had to end up filing a bankruptcy because of the mortgage and everything else wasn't paid, and that cost us $4,200 just to file that.
So you see, when you have a problem with your ex-wife and bills that built up during the divorce, and you go to scam somebody else, what happens is they get hurt. It's a trickle-down effect, because they didn't have money to pay the mortgage, because you didn't pay the rent, and you refused to move out of the house. Perfect strangers had trouble. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, both of you. And I certainly think Child Protective Services should give another look to where you're living now. Where are you living now?
Decatur Township.
You know where that is, sir?
I do, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $4,700. Claim is dismissed. That's all.
22-year-old Ruth Ayala is suing her former friend, 19-year-old Nicole Almengor, for crashing her brand-new Toyota Corolla.
Ah, Miss Ayala, how old are you?
22.
Tell me what kind of car you had.
Toyota Corolla 2006.
Who bought it for you?
I did, with my dad as a co-signer.
Who is this?
He's my witness.
Well, what is he a witness to?
He works with me at Sears, and he's witness because Nicole talked to him several times telling him that she was going to help me with the damage of my car when the accident.
That's your witness. I just wanted to know what he could possibly say. Now I got it. Now, your father work?
Yes.
I ask you all of these questions because this is the scenario that I got. You had to deliver a car to a sister of yours who lived someplace else. So you ask the defendant, do me a favor, follow me in my sister's car. I'm going to drive my new car. And then when we drop my sister's car off, we'll drive home together.
Right.
So you asked her to do you a favor. She did. You were both very tired or whatever. Did you go to a party the night at your sister's house? Is that right?
The night before the accident.
Yes. You went to a party. You both stayed up late after you had delivered the sister's car.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And when you got into your car, you said to Miss
Almengor,
would you do me a favor? I'm tired. Would you drive? Because I don't feel like driving home. And she did.
Right.
And she had an accident in your brand new car.
Right.
And you want her to pay for half the damage.
Right.
And she says she had an accident. You should have had insurance. And you had a brand new car with no insurance. How do you have a new car with no insurance when you have a loan?
Well, the car in the month when I got my car was on July 12th. They gave me a month with the dealer to have insurance, and afterwards my dad was going to add my car to his policy. So they took pictures of my car on August 26th. So the insurance was in process, which I thought...
Just a second. July 12th you bought the car.
Right.
The dealer had insurance for 1 month. That's August 12th.
Right.
There's a big gap here between August 12th and August 26th. What were you doing, in hibernation? You were sleeping? No question. From August 12th to August 26th, at least, when they were going to take pictures, you had no insurance. They were giving you insurance for a month so that you could get it all in place in the month. You waited until it was all over to get insurance?
It was in the process of getting the insurance.
You had no insurance. That's your fault. If you had insurance, they would have covered whatever damage you had to the car.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's your fault.
Yes, it's my fault. I know that, and I accept the responsibility, but it was in the process. My dad was going to add it to his policy.
So is it your fault or your father's fault?
It's my fault in the first place.
It's your fault in the first place? Then you got to pay for the damage.
But she was driving my car.
She was doing you a favor. She had an accident. She didn't have it on purpose.
I asked her to slow down.
You asked her to drive your car.
Yes, and I asked her to slow down because I knew how traffic was going to get, and she didn't.
I don't believe that for a second. You asked her to slow down because you knew the traffic was going to get bad, so you asked her to slow down?
I asked her to slow down because she was driving too fast.
I don't believe you. I didn't even ask her, and I don't believe you.
Well, I got the police report and the pictures of the damage of the car.
I believe your car was damaged. I believe she was in an accident. I know that if you had had proper insurance on your car, the insurance would have paid for the accident. She wasn't being reckless. You asked her to drive. Why didn't you drive home?
I asked her, is she mine? She said no.
That's not why didn't you drive your car home?
Because I wanted to rest. I was tired.
So you wanted to rest or you were tired. Did you go to sleep in the long ride home?
No, I didn't.
You mean you kept your eyes open?
Yes.
And you should have driven. Listen, when you're very tired, everybody knows if you're really tired and you get into a car and you've been up partying the night before and somebody else is driving, you're out. As soon as that hum starts to go, I'm getting tired as I'm telling the story.
I just think it's just fair for her to help me with half, because if it would have been me driving her car and getting on the accident, she would expect me to pay with half.
She may. I think you and your father ought to split it. She was in an accident. Accidents happen. Your father is older than you are. He should have made sure that if he co-signed for a car for you, that car had insurance.
We don't live together. I don't live with my father.
I don't care whether you live with him or not. It doesn't matter whether you live with your father or not. Your father chose to co-sign for a car for you, 22 years old, hardly old enough to be out of the house on their own. And if he chose to co-sign for a car for you, he should have had the brains to make sure it had insurance. Tell me about the accident.
Well, on the way back to Bakersfield, we were involved in an accident. It was more of a freeway accident, and I was driving her car, and when the accident happened, the airbags came out.
How did the accident happen?
While we were driving...
Not we, you were driving.
Well, while I was driving, there was cars in front of us started slowing down and swerving out the way. I guess there was an accident in front of us, and I also tried to swerve out the way, but in the rearview mirror I could see cars coming behind us, and we hit the car in front of us.
Not we, you.
Or I hit the car in front of us.
How many cars were involved in the accident?
It was just one other car and myself.
So the other cars managed to avoid hitting each other?
Yes.
But not you?
No.
Had you been drinking that morning?
No.
Okay, you weren't sleeping at the wheel, were you?
No.
How fast were you going? Do you remember?
I was going the speed limit. I wasn't speeding at all.
Excuse me, Your Honor, she's lying. She wasn't going the speed limit because if she would have been going the speed limit, she would have enough time to brake.
I actually was going the speed limit.
Listen, I don't have any proof whether she was or whether she wasn't. Whether she was...
I have the police report. It says on the police report.
That what?
That it was her fault because of speed.
Let me see the police report.
There was nowhere in the police report that I admitted to speeding at all.
I just want to read the police report. Both cars involved in the accident were traveling at about the same rate of speed. And these are all approximates, according to the police. One car was going 65 miles an hour. One car was going 70 miles an hour. Both cars acknowledged, both the one that she hit and the other car acknowledged that traffic started to slow down ahead of them, and it was an accident. There's no indication here that she was driving at an excessive rate of speed. I'm sorry, Miss Ayala, the responsibility is yours. If you have a brand new car, you're supposed to make sure that that brand new car is covered by insurance so that if you have an accident, the insurance company pays for it. And if you're not able to drive home, not able because you were up late partying, you wait another day. You wait another 6 hours before you go home and you drive your own car home. You know, you have to be grown-up if you're going to drive a brand-new car. If you're going to drive any car, you have to be a grown-up. And you have to take steps to ensure that if you have an accident, fortunately, no one was seriously injured in this accident. But I'm going to tell you something. If somebody was seriously injured in the accident, the driver ahead of you, you and your father would lose your house because you're driving an uninsured car. So not only don't you have collision, you don't have liability. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, now you understand it. You get it. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Connie Adams says former friend Richard Hood owes for rent, loans, and harassment. Richard is countersuing for the return of his truck.
Miss Adams, the defendant was a friend of yours who, according to your complaint, you were allowed to move into your home.
Correct.
You claim that he owes you some money for rent and for harassment and for a small loan that you made to him. Mr. Hood says that, as a matter of fact, he owes you nothing. Your relationship after he moved in changed, and that you told him he didn't have to pay rent. There was some point where he gave you the title to his car as collateral on the loan. It got very, very ugly, and Mr. Hood says that you actually kept some tools that were in his truck. He's counterclaiming for that property, and also he says that you've been harassing him. Is that right, Mr. Hood?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hood, how do you know Miss Adams?
I did some work on her house about 3 to 4 years ago for another contractor, and I met her at a bar about a year before that, and did the work on her house, and when I got done, she was wanting to do some further work, so I said okay, and me and my girlfriend, we had a falling out, we split up, and I was asked to leave, and I went to Miss Adams, and I said, would you care to trade the work for the rent? And she agreed.
That's not true.
Shh. Well, it is true, because that's what you say in your complaint, that initially he asked to move in, and you agreed that until he found a job, because you didn't have a job at that point.
Correct.
According to her.
But he had one lined up.
Shh. According to your complaint, you said, well, you can do some work around the house until you start your job, and then you can pay me rent. Is that what she told you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. When did you move in?
It was around January. It was like maybe right around the 16th.
And what work did you do in the house?
She had a bathroom, didn't have enough plywood on the floor, so when you set the toilet down, the wax ring wouldn't fit right, so I had to build up some plywood around the toilet.
How long did that take you, Mr. Hood?
Probably a couple hours.
What else did you do in the house?
I patched holes in her walls. She had various holes.
How many various holes did she have?
Probably about maybe 5 or 6.
5 or 6 holes. With
2.
your hands, show me how big the holes were.
Just like pinholes were.
Little holes?
They're little tiny, like nail holes.
It was where a towel rack had fallen off the wall.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Speak not.
Sorry.
Little pinholes. So what you do is you go to the store, right? You get a little tub of that putty stuff. You go like this, you put it in, you smooth it over,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor. There was like maybe some like that too as well.
Oh,
where
big
she
nails.
pulled a picture.
Big ones, so that you had to go like this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Instead of like this, right? Would you
Yes,
say
Your
it took you 20 minutes?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that now we have 2 hours and 20 minutes. What else did you do?
She wanted a wall framed in her basement, which I told her then I wasn't a framer either. So the wall would look good, to the eye it would look good, but it wasn't perfectly level. I didn't have levels. I had very little stuff to work with. But I had just enough, and I got the wall built.
You built a wall?
Yes, Your Honor.
An unlevel wall?
Yes, Your Honor.
And, Mr. Hood, how long would you say that it took you to build that wall?
Probably about 5 hours.
What else did you do?
I'm not.
That's about it.
Okay, so that we have, and I shot. Put it down. So this is what we have, Mr. Hood. We have 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 5 hours. That is 7.5 hours. That is a full day, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You moved in on what date? The 16th of
Yes, Your Honor.
January? On what date did you start to pay rent?
I think it was like a month, roughly about a month after
And
that.
how much was your rent per week, per month? What did you decide?
She decided she wanted to make it $100 a week.
$100 a week. And you worked for a day. And you lived there for a month before you started to pay rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to you. So that would mean that you owe her 4 and something weeks in a month. Let's say you have $450 for rent. So let's say I'm going to deduct $50 for all the work you did for her.
Okay.
$50. Is that fair?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is too easy. And when did you move out?
It was probably right around March. I don't know the exact date.
Miss Adams does. What day in March? Miss
March
Adams?
30th.
Oh, January, February, March. So he lived there about 3 months. How much did he pay you in rent?
$200.
When? In what month did he give you
The
$200?
last 2 weeks he was there.
What'd you let him stay for?
Well, I felt sorry for him because he was fighting for his children, and I took in the whole story about how the state had the kids in foster care and they were turning against him, and he hadn't seen the kids in months. He needed a decent place to stay where the children could come. And my heart went out to him. And once I let him move into the house, the state was allowing the children to come see him on Sundays, sometimes Saturdays, at my home, in my presence.
Is that true, Mr. Hood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
And I felt sorry for him, and I felt sorry for the children until I found out what he was really like, and I believe the children are better off where they are right now.
Why?
Because they're on a farm with their aunt, and these two are in the bars nearly every night. He met me in a bar. I was DJing at that bar. I wasn't drinking. I was the DJ there.
How do you know that they're at a bar every night?
I know several bar owners in town because I do DJ work.
How many children do you have, Mr. Hood?
I have 6 children, Your Honor.
How old are they?
One's 21, one's 10, and little girl's 17, one's 18, and then the 2 and the 3-year-old.
When was the last time you lived with any of your children?
Roughly about a year.
And then the state removed them?
I was removed from the house because of domestic violence.
You were?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Adams. What else?
I have receipts for the loans that I gave him.
Let me see it.
All of those are receipts. And his bar tab.
I don't care about his bar tab. All these checks that you have circled are made out to cash, Miss Adams.
Right, because he doesn't have a bank account. I had to get cash to give him. It says in the memo that it was a loan to him on 2
I
of
don't
them.
care what it says in the memo.
Ma'am, he truly does owe me that money on that loan. He truly does.
You want to tell me about the lawyer's fee?
Yes, I do. He was in court at family court, and his attorney was not going to represent him. He called me several times, very upset, because he knew then he was going to lose guardianship of his children. And I said, I don't know what I can do. I don't really have a lot of funds.
When was
this? And he said, I think February 24th, January or February 24th.
Did you give your lawyer money on about the 24th of February?
Yes, I did, Your
From
Honor.
her?
Yes, you did.
I drove it
How
over
much?
to the court.
It was about $120, yes.
How much?
$150.
Which I paid her back.
He
Show
did
me.
not.
I don't have any receipts,
That's
Your Honor.
too bad.
Okay.
When did he leave and why?
He left the end of March because I had him removed from the home. Because
Why?
well, first of all, he was sexually harassing me, trying to come in my room when I was dressing after I'd come out of the shower.
Not true.
He had his hands all over me at his birthday party.
Who is
And
this?
This is my 23-year-old son. And
All right, at that,
several
at
events.
that point he left. Did the police put him out?
They came as standby, and I do have the standbys that shows the police presence for him to remove all of his possessions, with the exception of the truck, because I had the title to the truck as collateral, and I showed it to the police officers. Then he went and said he had lost the title and went and fraudulently got another title for the truck so he could come get it. And the police escorted him there. If there was anything missing out of the truck, he would have complained to the police at that time.
Okay, I assume he has a police report where that's indicated. You have
I
a
don't
police
have any police report. She said I could come back.
No, I did not.
She said I could come back and
No,
get
I
the
did
stolen
not.
stuff. I got most of it. There was some
Good.
stuff
well,
I
if you
forgot.
then you should have gotten all of it, sir. Listen to me. My sense is that at some point or another, felt as if the money that you were laying out for him, he wasn't paying you rent, he certainly wasn't doing work around the house. He was drinking. There's no question about that because he didn't stop drinking for the 2.5 months he was living with you. If you're walking around with shades over your eyes, don't come to me to complain.
He had a job the very next day that he was going to start at $27 an hour, and I knew once he started working, I was going to get paid.
But
That's
you
why I
didn't.
got his
But
tools
according
out,
to
'cause
you,
he needed
you
the
didn't.
tools. Well, then he started the work on the wall, and the work that he did is so substandard that it's
Listen
going
to
to cost
me.
me $1,500 to fix what he did.
Well, that's your problem.
I don't think it is.
It is your problem because you're a big girl.
I really thought he was getting his life together for his kids. I used to be a preacher's wife. I went to Bible college. I was trying to do what we've been taught to do. I've learned now it doesn't pay to help people unless they're related to you.
And even then, not always. Let's get to your counterclaim, sir. Your counterclaim is for the tools. I'm dismissing that part of your counterclaim because unless you have a police report that indicates you still had tools in the truck, you got your truck back, you got everything back. If you're missing tools, that's too bad. Okay. So far, you owe $550.
He owes more than that. I also have telephone tape recordings where he tells me he owes me at least $900 and that he will pay it. I have a transcript and the tape right here.
Oh, well, that I'll hear. You have a tape that says he owes you $900?
That's correct. And that he wronged me. And that he didn't expect me to give him the truck. Well, and he said he didn't expect me to give him the truck until he'd paid for it.
Shh. Well, he doesn't say he owes you $900. Madam, what he says is, look, Connie, I don't want to argue with you or nothing. If I owe you $900, I'll pay you. That's what it says. That means, sir, that she must have said to you, you owe me $900. Right?
She claimed that.
I told him he owed more, but that's what I gave him the truck back for. And
Listen.
I told him that in front of the police.
Hey, don't play with me. I've been in business a lot longer than you have, Miss Adams.
The truck's not worth even that much.
Well, just listen to me. Somewhere between telling him that he owed you $900 and you filing this case for $3,000, $2,100 got added on to what he owed you.
When I found out how much the damage was going to cost on the house, and he started harassing me, even sent his girlfriend to crash my birthday party after he beat her up.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $550, which is what I said in the beginning. I believe that there was a relationship that was brewing.
No, I had a boyfriend, and I have a restraining. He took out a restraining order, ma'am.
Counterclaim is dismissed, so she owes you nothing.
That
you owe
the court threw out as a misuse of
$400 for the
justice.
rent, and $150 for the loan that you acknowledge. Goodbye.
22-year-old Brittany Bugby is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugby, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof.
I
I have
see
a
the proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes.
I don't believe I ever gave you a check.
It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
did you pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything? When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's. And I deposited it into my account to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm. And
You go into you just said to me
that
that your bank told you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid. And that was the last I heard from her. Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend, and I was the only one working, and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine, and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany. That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend, Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that she moved out on.
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well,
party.
I want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No, just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on. And that's what happened.
Now
I
I'll
saw
hear your
everything.
story.
All right, we were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
You're not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Well, listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yes.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let us paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover.
And I would start,
she did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start. Okay, Miss Lauderdale, you owe her $1,300 in rent and another $50 from the first month. And the next time, if you pay somebody rent, you pay them by check and get a receipt. Just like you did the first month that you were living there, paid by check. Do you understand? Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Christine Lawson is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Lemos, for the cost of a big screen TV they purchased as a couple. Joseph says when they broke up, Christine kept the TV.
Miss Lawson, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend. You lived together for a period of time. Something happened while you were living together with your TV. You claimed that he wanted to buy a big screen TV. You put it on a credit card. You allowed him to use the credit card. He used it not only for the TV, but for some other things. He paid for the other things that he used. Ultimately, he paid off the credit card up to the amount of the TV after you broke up, and then he stopped paying for the TV. You want him to pay for the television. Sounds very reasonable, right?
Yes.
Except that you have the TV.
Correct.
So, I'm confused. Mr. Lema says that he did, in fact, use the credit card to purchase some other things. Even after you broke up, he continued to make payments on the credit card until he had paid off all of the items he had purchased, but for the television.
Correct.
And the reason he didn't pay for the television is because you have the television. When did you break up?
It's about April or May of 2006.
And when was the television purchased?
August of 2004.
So you've been watching the television?
Correct.
In your house?
Yes.
Why don't you pay for it?
I never wanted it. I don't like it. I would love to give it back to him, but I don't have, I'm using it as collateral, I guess, to get the rest of the money that he owes me.
The only money that's owed is owed for the television.
Not entirely.
Most of it is for the television.
I guess you could say that.
So what you want me to believe, Miss Lawson, is that he said to you, you can keep this $3,000 television and watch it, and I'm going to make the payments on it.
No, that's not how the conversation actually
Well, tell me how conversation actually went.
Okay. When we broke up, there was still about $4,000 on the credit card, which, as you said, there was multiple things on there. He was paying me up until September of 2006.
Correct,
and
then he stopped. Right.
And he wanted to take his TV, which would have been fine to me. However, I couldn't guarantee that I would get the rest of the money that he owed me if I handed over the TV. I had no way of contacting him. I had no cell phone number. The only way I had was email. Most of the emails that I had sent him were ignored.
He paid you for the 6 months.
Well, he was paying on multiple things. That wasn't the only thing on there.
He paid the credit card honorably.
Correct.
Until the only thing left was a television that you were watching.
Well, the television was...
And he wanted it back when you broke up.
Correct.
Well, then you're watching it. You pay for it. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Well, the amount owed on the credit card exceeded what the amount of the television was.
When?
When we broke up, when he stopped paying.
Come on, Miss Lawson. I just made it perfectly clear to you that there's an agreed set of facts, and the agreed set of facts are he paid until September when the only thing that remained on the credit card was the television set, which he had initially asked for when you broke up, which you declined to give him, which you've been watching and you've been using. You pay for it. That's all. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Nina Taylor is suing 25-year-old Amanda White for taking back a 1998 Ford Contour she donated to her. Amanda claims Nina misappropriated the donation.
Miss White, according to what I read, you gave Crystal a car.
Yes.
So you gave it to her?
Yes, ma'am.
As a gift?
Yes, ma'am.
When you gave Crystal the car, her mother invested money to have the car fixed. Then, according to Miss Taylor, you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am.
And she wants the money that she invested in the car because you took the car back. So now I have to figure this out. Which one of you two ladies is Crystal?
Me.
Crystal, stand up next to your mom. When did you give Crystal the...
Late July.
What kind of car was it?
A Ford Contour.
What year?
98.
How many miles did it have on it?
Approximately 200,000.
Okay, so it didn't have much value to it.
No.
And why did you give her the car?
The whole purpose, I paid the car off, and I said that when I get a new one, my whole point of not trading the car in was to give it away to somebody who was in need when I found
Fine, so you
that
gave
person.
it to Crystal?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
We worked together.
Why did you take it back?
We were waiting for a title to the car because I had a lien. I had trouble getting the title because of the lien. Miss Taylor contacted contacted me right before I got the title, and she told me that she was suing me. She did not want the title at that point. She wanted the money that she says that she put into it. So I told her that I wanted receipts and I wanted to verify with my mechanic.
You have the car?
Yes.
You just give it back to Crystal.
That's not true.
Just a second. Listen to me. Perhaps Miss White didn't understand, so I have to explain the law to you. When you give a gift, you cannot give a gift with tentacles. You don't have the right to say, well, I'm giving it to you because I want to give it to somebody who's needy. But then if you do something with it that I don't like, I'm going to take it back.
Well, it's the whole idea that I was being sued. If I'm being sued for $2,000, prove it. She didn't want it.
Very
She
good.
didn't want the car. She didn't want the title. I told her I have the title.
Oh, fine. Well, just give her the. Just listen to me. Just give her the title.
I would at the door. At her
Wait
door.
a second.
I
Listen
went
to
to
me.
her door and told her I had it.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully. You're not entitled to any money. You're entitled to the car. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand? My question is now, do you want, Miss Taylor, this is your lawsuit. Do you want the car?
No.
Then your case is dismissed.
Why is that, Judge?
Because you are not entitled to the money. You fixed up the car. You're entitled to the car that she gave you. It was a gift. It was an unconditional gift. She gave it out of her heart because she wanted to give it to somebody who needed a car. You took it upon yourself to fix the car. You fixed it. You invested money in it.
But the car wasn't free. The title wasn't free. She just
It
got
is now free.
She just got it free and clear. She didn't have it in August.
Now she has the title free and clear. Do you want the car or nothing? Do you want the car or nothing?
The car, I mean, I put money into the car. I mean...
Do you want the car or nothing?
Car.
Good. Take out the title. You'll take care of signing it over to Miss Taylor. Fine?
That's fine.
Good. Bird, have him sign over the title, please.
Okie dokie.
Perfect. Is the car at your home, Miss White?
Yes.
Okay. When do you want Miss Taylor to pick it up, or Crystal?
Anytime.
Fine. You're a doll, Miss White. You're a nice person. It was a nice gesture.
Thank you.
This case stands for the proposition that no good deed goes unpunished. That's all. Thank you.
We've heard that
That's
all week.
21-year-old Laura Termini is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Justin Jordan, for punching out the windshield of her car and impound fees.
This was your boyfriend. You had an argument while you were driving in a car. You were the driver?
Yes, ma'am.
He was the passenger. During the course of the argument, he got very angry and he hit the windshield, or he hit a mirror in your car, which broke the windshield. You want him to pay for that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that after this incident, you were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, but about a month later, you had to go to the airport. So you were stupid enough to ask him if he would drive you to the airport and he could keep your car and use it while you were away. So he took you to the airport. According to him, he parked it where he shouldn't have parked it. It got towed, and it cost you a whole bunch of money to get the car out of the towing facility. So far, is that about right, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, that's correct.
No, look at me. Look at me,
Yes.
smarty pants. Yes, Judge, that's correct.
Yes, it is. Correct.
All right. Mr. Jordan's defense is he broke the windshield in the car instead of breaking your face, because that's how mad he was. So he hit something that couldn't really injure. Am I reading it right?
Yes, you are.
And the second part about taking the car and having it towed, he says, well, you should have come home from your vacation early and taken care of your problem, right?
Right, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jordan, did you eat spinach as a child? Regularly?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell me when this incident was, Mr. Jordan, in the car.
Late August.
August of 2006.
August of 2006.
All right. Where were you coming from, sir?
We were coming from our apartment, and we were taking the cat to the vet, which was neglected, and it was dying, and I was very off. And that's the bottom line.
Whose cat was it?
It was hers.
What kind of cat was it?
It was a Savannah F2.
A Savannah F2.
Yeah.
What is that?
It just has some wild cat in it, so it's like half wild, half regular cat.
How long had you had the cat?
About 6 months.
And when you say she neglected the cat, Mr. Jordan, what do you mean she neglected the cat?
It means it didn't have its proper shots. It wasn't taken care of correctly. It was not fed the right food.
Okay. So you were angry with her that you were taking the cat to the vet?
Yeah, it was dying.
And what did you do?
Well, she was degrading me, putting me down, and
Well, what did she say to you, Mr. Jordan?
a bunch of stuff like worthless and just stuff like that, you know?
She called you worthless?
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah.
What else did she call you?
A bunch of profound words that I can't say on TV, but,
You mean
know.
profanity, not
Profanity,
profound.
yes.
So what did you do?
So I punched the windshield.
And who's responsible for that?
She is.
Because she made you angry.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you took her to the airport
Yes.
in her car, and then you took her car to work.
Yes.
Did you park it in a place where you shouldn't have parked the car?
No.
You mean the police made a mistake in
Yes.
towing your car?
Yes.
Was it parked near a fire hydrant? Was
No, they say it was blocking a driveway.
blocking a driveway?
Yeah.
But there was no driveway.
No, there was a driveway, but it was not blocking a driveway.
You mean somebody could have squeezed through?
Definitely. No, it wasn't blocking a driveway.
You mean they just selected your car at random because you ate your
No.
spinach as a child?
No.
So what happened when you came out and found the car no longer there, Mr.
So it was
Jordan?
gone, and I went to Anaheim Police Department, and I couldn't get it out.
Well, when you went to the Anaheim Police Department, what were you told?
She had to come get it out.
And you said that she was on vacation.
Yes, I did.
Did you contact her?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask her to send you a letter of authorization so that you could get the car?
Yes, I did.
And did she send it?
No, she didn't.
Why not?
Because he said that he didn't have the money to pay it. So if I send it, he wouldn't pay it anyway.
Is that what you told her?
No.
What did you tell her?
I told her to come get it out.
Who was supposed to pay for it?
I told her I was going to pay for it.
Oh, good. So?
If she came home and got it out, but she remained in New York for another 5 days. That's
Well-
why that bill is so expensive.
Oh, the bill is so high, sir, because you parked in a driveway.
No, it was $160, and whatever she paid, that's her fault.
Tell me how much the impound fees were.
Together with the ticket, $435.
And the windshield?
It is $1,097.
Did you have the car fixed?
No, I haven't. I don't have the money to have it fixed.
Okay. Anything else you want to say to me, Mr. Jordan, before I let you go on your way, sir?
No.
Wasn't this a pleasant experience? Judge
John Sanderlin says ex-girlfriend Christina Taylor owes for the return of child support and attorney fees. John claims Christina lied about the paternity of her child.
Mr. Sanderlin, Miss Taylor has a child. You and Miss Taylor were together for a period of time before the child was born. But it appears now at the time that you met, she was already pregnant by someone else, and the child is not yours. According to you, you didn't know that at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And when the child was born, you put your name on the child's birth certificate and obligated yourself to take care of the boy or a girl?
Girl.
Girl. Very shortly after the child was born, you and Miss Taylor separated, and she went back to the child's father. I assume this gentleman here. According to you, time passed, and you were hauled into court for child support. Had to hire a lawyer. You were already in arrears. They took money out of your salary. Couldn't get that garnishment lifted without a lawyer. So you want Miss Taylor to pay you back for all of your expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, even after the order was lifted, 2 additional checks were taken out of your pay. Ms. Taylor received them and cashed them. You want those 2 back. Let's deal with those 2 first. Ms. Taylor, when did you get the last 2 checks?
Beginning of October.
For how much?
$136 apiece.
Why didn't you send them back to Mr. Sanderlin? It's not an answer.
Sorry. I just needed the money, so I cashed it. I felt he signed the birth certificate. You know, it was his obligation, I guess.
Is what you say to me actually the way your mind works?
No.
I just want to know. Is what you just said to me the response that you knew he wasn't the father of your child? You knew that there was no order anymore. You knew that you were living with the father of your child. And yet you got 2 checks that you knew were sent to you in error. And you needed the money, so you cashed the checks and spent them. I want to know if that's the way your mind works.
That's how I was thinking.
Then you have enough children.
I know that.
Good. Don't make any more. Because, God forbid, you make more, they'll have your mind. And we have enough people just with you that have your mind. That's dishonest.
It is.
So we're going to take care of this payment right off the bat. Mr. Sanderlin, I'm not finished with you yet because I don't think that you resorted to reasonable self-help. Now, how much money did you pay in total for this child that turned out not to be yours?
I don't have an exact figure.
Well, who's supposed to have a figure? Bird?
No.
Me? You're supposed to have a figure.
I would say anywhere between the lines of $1,000 and $3,000.
Well, that's ridiculous, Mr. Sanderline. That's why you got yourself into all this trouble. Where did you think you were coming today? You're coming to court in order for a court to make a financial award to you to pay you back the money that you've paid for child support. So the least you could do is sit down and figure out how much you paid. Not somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000.
Or whatever it takes to take care of a child from the time of birth up to 3 months.
How many children do you have?
I have none, ma'am.
Sounds perfect to me so far. Money came out of your check. You had a garnishment on your salary. That's what you told me.
$272 between 2 deductions.
Is that the total amount that was taken out of your pay?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then what are you suing for $3,000 for?
For lawyer fees, it would have took a matter of 2 or 3 days in court to have everything cleared up if she had showed up to court.
Just a second. How much was your lawyer?
The first lawyer cost me, I have paperwork on this. This is the ledger from the lawyer stating everything that I paid. That was the first lawyer.
When was the first time you went into court with the lawyer?
I believe it was in April.
So what was this bill in 2004 for?
The bill in 2004?
Yeah.
I hired another lawyer to finish up the case because that lawyer there wanted another $1,000 to go back to court.
Sir, how many times have you been involved in court proceedings, not involving this child?
Maybe once or twice.
I want to see a bill for the lawyer. On this case, Mr. Sanderline. On this case, not your other problems. On this case.
This is it right here?
I don't believe it.
It has right at the top, Sanderland versus Taylor.
2002.
It goes all the way down to 2004.
2002 is when you said you went to court. Let me see any communication from your lawyer, a letter, with regard to this case.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No. Now, Ms. Taylor, when Mr. Sanderline went into court, allegedly in 2002, did you go into court with him?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to the judge?
I told him that he wasn't the father, and I didn't want child support.
Were you receiving welfare?
No. I don't think at the time.
In the last 4 years, were you receiving welfare?
Yes, I went down and applied for insurance.
Were you receiving welfare?
Yes. Can I say something?
Uh-huh.
When they asked who the father was, they asked household members and who the father was. I never put down John. I always told them it was Daniel, and then I had a paternity test. I showed them the paternity test. I never said that it was John.
You didn't tell him that he was not the father when you met him, right?
Right.
And when he put his name on the birth certificate when the child was born in the hospital, you said, oh, she looks like you, or she looks like me, or she looks like your mother, or she looks like me. You didn't tell him that he wasn't the father, did you?
No.
That was dishonest, because what you say in your answer was very dishonest. You say he should have done the math, right?
Right.
I'm dying to hear what you have to say.
May I approach? Well, first off, me and Christina have been together since 2 months after when this baby was born.
I don't care.
Mr. Sanderline had nothing to do with her life or whatsoever.
Do you see my mouth moving?
I see her, yes, ma'am.
What do you have to contribute to this case?
The only thing I gotta say is Christina had nothing to do with the court proceedings. She told the judge she got the paternity test stating John Sanderwood was not the father. We proved to the court he wasn't, and that should have been that.
Listen
now,
to
any
me.
attorney's fees that he may have paid...
I'm speaking. Now, listen to me very carefully. Are you married?
No, ma'am.
Your girlfriend was dishonest because when she wasn't with you, she was looking for somebody else to nail for this child. If she wasn't, she would have told him right away that he wasn't the father of this child, and I guarantee you he wouldn't have put his name on the birth certificate. She was looking for somebody to pick up the slack because I don't know where you were, but you weren't together. That's number one. Number two, since you are now together, assume that you don't keep secrets from each other?
No.
That when she received these 2 checks in the amount of $136 that she told you about him?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's the only part I feel
just
like
answer.
we've done wrong.
Just answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told her it was wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did it anyway.
Yes, we both did it, not just her alone. We were in hard financial times at the time, and I disagreed at first, but in the end, we both did it together. It wasn't her decision.
I'm glad now I see. Do you have any children other than this one child?
Yes, a child, son, Zach. Yeah. A son as well, yes.
You got enough children, too. Sit down. Oh. It all started with a lie, Miss Taylor. Your lie. That's why he had all this trouble. Because if you had told him right from the get-go, listen, I love you, I want to be with you, but this child isn't yours. If you can open your heart up to a child that isn't yours, that's fine. Then he would have had a choice. He would have been able to say, listen, not my child, but I love you. I want to be able to be a family. If I choose to put my name on the birth certificate and accept that responsibility, that's my choice. You lied in 2002. You lied in 2001. You lied in 2005 when you took his check that you shouldn't have. Well, that says a great deal about your character. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. Paxton Durlow is suing tattoo artist Breezy Barrett for breach of contract on the bartering of a vehicle. Paxton says Breezy was supposed to tattoo him in exchange for a truck.
Mr. Durlow, you traded your truck for services to be performed by the defendant, who's a tattoo artist. She paid some in cash for the truck, is that right?
Correct.
And the remainder was to be worked off in this barter arrangement. Is that right?
There was also a bike included in the deal as well.
That you got?
Yes, correct.
Your claim is that Miss Barrett did half of the tattoo and then modified the agreement that you had to complete the tattoo by telling you that you could only come for your appointments between 9 and 12 at a time when you work, therefore requiring that you go to somebody else to have the tattoo finished.
Correct.
That's what you want to pay for, plus some harassment nonsense. Everybody's been harassed. You know who's most harassed here?
You.
And Miss Barrett says that you caused her to lose business because what you did was you kept canceling appointments. And in addition to that, you sexually harassed her. So she's counterclaiming. When did you make this deal with the truck?
I'm not exact on the dates at all. I mean, I have the contract, I guess, in here. So
okay, so let me have the contract, please. Okay, so the sales agreement requires that the tattoo is to be completed in 2-hour sessions, no more than 3 weeks apart, unless otherwise agreed to by the parties, and that's dated 7/21/06, correct?
Correct. Yes.
When did you start the tattoo?
I was already in the middle of tattoos. This deal came on after I was already getting work from her.
So when you were supposed to start it in 2-hour sessions, according to the agreement?
Yes, that would have been starting that date.
So? What happened?
Well, the appointments were going well. Then I would get an occasional push. She would ask me if I could come in on a different day because there was a person that absolutely had to have that appointment. And it was a way for her to make money and that she was a sole provider for her home. So I agreed. And then it became redundant. And then
what?
I didn't agree any further. It started getting to where I couldn't get anything done.
Did you ever cancel appointments yourself?
The last time that I had an appointment to go to was one I canceled.
How many times did she change your appointment?
I believe 4 times, maybe even more.
And it was always because she had a paying customer?
A paying customer or something came up. She did have a mother who was terminally ill, which I fully understood. And she also changed appointments there, too, which I did not consider in the claim.
Okay. When did she tell you about this business of only coming in the morning?
After a discussion of me not getting anything done, the whole conversation was via text, and I have it, if you'd like
I'd like to see it.
Would you like to see pictures of the truck as well?
No.
Okay.
Not necessary. Oh, well, here's your problem. Breezy, you're Breezy, right?
Yes.
Here's your problem. It is clear to me that the two of you have a dispute in these text messages with regard to whose fault it was, etc. You know, clearly you were not yourself as a result of your mother's illness, because that's clear from these emails, and that there were certain stresses in your life. But when you say to him, in the future, you shouldn't off your artist until after the work is done, would be enough for me to say that you breached this contract and I wouldn't let you do any work on me. That's a threat. I mean, I don't know anything about tattoos except that I've seen them. They're done with needles, right? Correct. I wouldn't let anybody near me with a needle who said to me I wouldn't take any action until after it was all done and I was happy. You want to say anything to me?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
After 6 months of tattooing on him, I canceled 2 appointments.
Well, that's too many.
One being I'm a sole provider of my children. I only work 5 hours a day because I have preschool pickup, drop-off, daycare closes.
Whatever. Listen, okay. He's not your mother. He's not your sister. He's not your brother.
He was a friend.
Just a second. You canceled 2 appointments. Not tragic.
My second appointment I canceled was because his appointment was 2 days after my mother died.
You canceled the 2 appointments.
He called and made 4 appointments, 2 weeks, 2 hours back to back. no-showed on every one of them. I only work 5 hours a day. You no-show.
Show
It's
me.
right
He
here.
says that that's not true.
Right here.
It's in pencil, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if it's in pencil.
Let me take a look at it.
That's my appointment book. Here's my apprentice who helps make all my appointments.
Do you remember independently making these appointments?
She wasn't there at that time.
Just a second. Just answer my question. Do you remember independently making these appointments, yes or no?
During that point in time.
Just answer my question. Fine. Thank you. I want you to give me the date of the first appointment. Would you give that book back to her, please? Give me the date of the first appointment you say he missed.
Monday, January 15th.
What was the next one?
1/19/07.
Well, that's not 2 weeks apart.
No, he called after no showing and said, sorry, can you get me in? So I did. I slid him in.
Okay, well, that's not 2 weeks apart. First you told me he made appointments 2 weeks apart over a month and didn't appear. So now it's 1/15/07.
Okay.
Then you Then you said he called you and said, I'm sorry, could you fit me in? You made it for 1/19/07, and then you say he didn't show up.
Then he had February 4th.
Go ahead.
Then he had February 16th.
Can you show me, Ms. Berendt, anywhere in these text messages where you say that he missed appointments on the 15th, the 19th, or February 4th, which is why you decided to change the rule, because you have a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of bad language going back and, well, from your end. But there isn't, according to what I see here, one place where you wrote in your email that he missed appointments on January 15th, January 19th, or February 4th. And all of these text messages were written on February 6th. Not one place do you talk about 3 missed appointments.
Those are his text messages.
Show me yours.
That phone was dropped in the toilet.
Okay.
But he could easily have left off the first 4 emails for you.
He could have.
You know?
And your phone maybe could have been dried off from the toilet. You have to take care of the rest of his tattoo. That was your contract with him.
I never had a problem with that.
That was your contract. How much will it cost to finish the tattoo?
It's an estimate because, I mean...
How much is the estimate?
I have it right here if you'd like to see it. He believes it to be between $1,440 and $1,800.
Can I see, please?
It depends on the work.
Where is it? Is it on your arm?
It's on both arms. And
got it.
There's not more than $600 left there.
Well, then you should have done it yourself.
I would love to.
Well, you can't because you threatened him. Okay. Now, you also don't mention anywhere the sexual harassment that you talk about. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, the entire time I worked on him, it was fondling me, grabbing on me. I leave my life for you the whole time. That's why she's
good.
here.
Okay, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Janelle Monet is suing her ex-boyfriend, Christopher Cook, for rent, utility bills, and a broken door. Christopher says Janelle is holding his belongings hostage.
Ms. Monet, this is your complaint. You and Mr. Cook hooked up and lived together for a period of time.
Right.
You leased an apartment together. The understanding was that each of you expenses on the apartment. Shortly after you moved in, he stopped working. Stayed home, according to you, 7 months. He did not pay his share of the rent or utilities.
Right.
You won it. What kind of job did you lose, sir?
When I moved in with Janelle, I was working as a caretaker for a friend of mine who needed someone to take care of him, and I had free room and board with the job. So when she asked me to do that, I was walking away from free room and board plus a small salary to move in with her. She told me that from the word go, there was no concerns about money, that I was to feel no burden about this. This whole gig she's pulling here is just about her wanting to get a payday, so she went through her money like she was a queen of town and going and taking everybody out all over the place.
You know something, Mr. Cook? My problem is with a 37-year-old man who, for whatever reason, decides to live off a stranger. I don't understand that kind of mentality. I see it all the time. What
Who said I
would
wanted to live off a stranger?
inspire a person who's 37 years old to think that there is some sort of an entitlement for them to, according to you, said, I did a lot of the chores. I did the cooking. I cleaned up. I took care of myself.
After gastric bypass surgery, she needed me to do basically everything.
You said to me, sir,
it took her.
I'm speaking that she needed help for a month. Understood. That turned into 7 months when you did nothing.
3 months, she was unable to do for herself. I took care of everything. Then I got another job back at a place I used to work before. She proceeded to help me lose the job, basically, by wanting to be up all night with her friends out in the living room while I was trying to go to sleep in the bedroom. She did nothing to try and help. So I ended up losing the job after about a month in time, and it took another month and a half before I got another job. All I wanted from her was to provide an environment where we could both live together. I could go back to work. She was conducive to that and contribute to the home.
Miss Monet, you sold his property. When he left certain property in your house.
He had next to nothing when
I don't care if he had next to nothing. When he moved in, a lot of the stuff was purchased. And I guarantee you, if I got down to it with you, it would have been purchased for him.
Right.
The fact that you don't love him anymore and that he left doesn't mean that you get to take back the things that you bought him.
Right.
So not only did you take them back, but there were certain things that you sold. What did you sell?
A computer and a toolbox.
What kind of computer?
It was an old Dell that was built by Mr. Cook.
Well, if it was built by him, then it wasn't
Wouldn't be a
yours.
Dell. Right.
Why did you sell it?
Because I needed money to pay the rent.
How much did you sell it for?
$100.
That's not why you sold it. I don't even believe that you sold it. Who'd you sell it to?
A friend of mine.
Whose name is?
Steve.
Uh-huh. Steve what?
Steve.
And how do you know him?
He's a mutual friend of ours.
You know him?
I know him, yes, Your Honor.
You know if he bought your computer?
I know he didn't buy my computer.
You know he did not. How do you know, Mr. Cook, that Mr. Peterson did not buy the computer?
Because I confronted him on the very issue. He did not have my computer, Your Honor.
When did you confront him?
After I was aware of the fact that my computer was no longer there, along with 3 toolboxes, not one, and all various other possessions that were mine long before our relationship ever began.
Who did you sell the toolboxes to?
He has the toolboxes.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
You told me that you sold them in your complaint.
I got them back after that because he wanted them back, so I felt bad that I had sold them, and I bought them back from the person that I sold them to.
No.
Yes, I most certainly did.
Fine. Who did you sell them to?
I sold them to a friend of mine. His name's Francisco. He bought them for $60, and
60
I bought
bucks.
them back.
Wouldn't pay for
Can
the
I
clothes on
ask you
one
this
floor.
question, Miss Monet?
Yes.
As for his personal belongings, when Christopher left home, and the means of recouping some of my losses and supporting myself, I had to sell his tools. That's what you wrote in your complaint. No, I bought them back because I felt badly. Why wouldn't you tell me that you purchased them back and gave them back to him?
Because I just recently did this. Just last week.
You mean after this lawsuit, or you just recently did it?
Yes.
All right. Well, you had an opportunity today to review your complaint and to sign it.
Right.
Today. Nowhere did you modify this complaint, right?
Right.
I mean, do you think that there's something wrong with me? They don't
No.
keep me here because I'm good looking. You lived rent-free for how long?
Rent-free is
Rent-free.
is there not a exchange of me doing activities or work for her that's also...
No. No.
That was
There
the
was-
arrangement we
I
had.
don't believe that.
That was the arrangement we had, Your
I
Honor.
don't believe it.
I'm telling you that's what it was. whether
I
you
don't
believe
care
it or
what
not.
you're telling me, sir. I don't believe a 37-year-old
She had
man. I'm
gastric bypass.
speaking with any kind of character says, you take care of me, I'm going to do the cooking.
It wasn't. She had gastric bypass surgery.
That's fine then. If you love her and you want to help take care of her, you do that. For a week, 2 weeks, a month, as long as she needs you to help her take care of her, that's what you do if you love somebody. But you don't do it as a livelihood. I'm
that took
speaking, sir. You lived there not a month, not 2 months, not 3 months. You lived there 7 months, and in 7 months you didn't pay any rent. Consider that your tools. You got it? But you're not getting any rent money from him, madam, because he had no right to sell his property.
Right.
So whatever
Right.
money that you got for his property, put it towards the rent.
Okay.
Sounds to me like the two of you deserve each other. Your case is dismissed. Yours too. Goodbye.
25-year-old Chad Navarro is suing the mother of his daughter, 23-year-old Jennifer Resnikoff, for stealing money from his bank account. Chad claims Jennifer used the money to buy drugs.
Mr. Navarro, you and Miss Resnikoff lived together for a period of time, and you also have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, when you were living together, you gave Miss Resnikoff the ability to withdraw money from your bank account. She had access to your bank account, and that was with your permission to cover certain bills.
Yes.
It is your claim that she drained your bank account in order to purchase drugs.
Yes.
And you want her to reimburse you for the amount that she took without your authorization to purchase drugs. Ms. Resnikoff says that she did, in fact, withdraw the money from your bank account. It was a bank account that you gave her access to. She had withdrawn money in the past for household items, but that you had not given her sufficient money to take care of your child, and she purchased items for your child, and that was the reason that she took the money out of the bank. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Resnikoff. When did Mr. Navarro give you access to the bank account?
I'd say probably about 3 months, 4 months after we first met.
Give me the month and the year.
Approximately, I would say March of 2002, approximately.
So from March of 2002 until what date did you have access to the bank account?
Till we broke up.
Which was when?
Which was in September, August of this year.
During what months do you claim that she withdrew, without your permission, the bulk of the money, over $3,000?
Yeah.
September and October of what year?
5.
And when did the two of you break up?
We broke up maybe at the end of September.
October. Not August, it was October.
When was the last time you lived with Miss Resnikoff?
I don't really remember the dates. You know, I don't remember.
Was it 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago?
It was about a month, maybe 2 weeks ago.
I moved in with my brother 3.5 weeks ago, thank you.
That's not August.
Well, I was saying that in August and October she was taking the money out. In 8 and 9. Oh, August and September. Okay.
Can I see your bank statement? How old is your baby?
11 months, ma'am.
Where is the baby?
She is here.
Who does she live with?
Me.
Are you talking, sir, about where it says ATM withdrawals?
Yes. She had the card. She took it out of the mail.
What'd you spend all this money on?
My baby.
Baloney.
No, really. I have a witness that was there most of the times that I went out and purchased stuff.
Well, just a second. Who gave you the authority to do that?
Well, I thought, seeing that I was on the account, that I could access it without this being a problem.
You spent over $3,000 in a 30-day period on your baby?
I don't think it was $3,000.
Yeah?
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Right on the back page, you can see the checks that she wrote to cash. So, I mean, why would she write it to cash if she was just buying the stuff for the baby? She could have just went there.
Listen to me. It's baloney. I just said to you, it's baloney.
I was just saying, sorry.
Yeah, it's baloney. My question to you, Mr. Navarro, is something that, to me, is more serious than $3,000 out of your bank account. You have a son or a daughter with this lady?
Daughter.
And you separated, and she took the baby?
Yes.
And you say she's got a drug problem?
She's with her brother right now, and
So
she's
what?
been clean.
How do you know that?
Because
How do you know
I
that?
trust her brother. Her brother's my best friend, and I trust him. And
You trust him to what?
He's there all day.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
He's there all day,
Well,
and...
why? He doesn't work?
No, he does work. He does eBay.
What do you mean he does eBay?
eBay, he sells stuff on eBay.
Where does he get the stuff he sells on eBay?
He buys it offline and then sells it, like laptop computers and stuff like that.
Where does he get the money from to buy the stuff, sir?
Where does he get it? From eBay. He posts the stuff, he gets the money, and then he uses the money to buy the stuff again. You know what I mean? That's how...
Do I know what you mean? I know what you're telling me. I know what you're telling me. What do you do for a living?
Me? I'm a warehouse manager.
Let me tell you this, Mr. Navarro. If somebody has a $3,000 a month drug habit, which is what you're alleging, you don't get over a $3,000 a month drug habit unless you go into an inpatient facility for a long time. And I wouldn't believe my best friend, who makes his money in some unorthodox way, that his sister is clean. You following me, sir?
Yes.
That's what I would worry about. Not the fact that she took this money out of a bank account that you gave her access to, that she's had access to for 3 years. You should have been watching the store a little more carefully. Do you understand? Yeah. What I would worry about is my 11-month-old child, if you believe that she was using drugs, which is very easy to find out. You go to court, you file for custody of your child, they take her in, they do a drug test on her hair. They do a hair follicle test, and the hair follicle test will show what kind of drugs she had been doing over the last year, in what amount, and in what frequency. Not whether she used drugs the day before, but it will show a pattern of drug use. That's what you do. Do you understand? If that's what you think.
Well, she even admitted
Listen to me. Have you done that?
What? No.
Take custody of your daughter?
No.
Well, then I hardly believe, sir, that a man, the only one in this whole family of three, she, her brother, and you, the only one who works, who has a steady source of income for a long time, you're the only one who can manage to hold it together, has not done that. I said, it's okay for you. You can go live with your brother. You and your drug habit, and your brother and his unorthodox business can all go live together, and I'll do what I have to do. That's not what a responsible person does, Mr. Navarro. Responsible person doesn't leave an 11-month-old child with someone who had a $3,000 a month drug habit. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I did not have a drug habit. I had admitted to him that I had tried certain drugs, which I'm not proud of.
Just a second. Where did you get them?
Where did I get them?
No, I asked the question. Don't take time to think of the answer. Where did you get them?
From his...
He gave them to you for nothing, or did you pay for them?
I paid for them.
Out of this money?
Part of it, yes, but not $3,000 worth.
I don't care if it was 20 cents. She says she told you she got the drugs from your...
There was an intervention that we had, and everybody came over, and she admitted that she was doing the drugs, and she did not tell me.
She just told me she was doing drugs.
But it was more than that, what you admitted.
Listen to me.
It wasn't only that.
Listen to me, sir. I believe if she admits to a little, she used a lot. My problem with you, Mr. Navarro, is when you go to court and seek custody of your daughter, they will do a drug test on her mother. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you that if it's established that she's been using drugs, the chances of you getting custody of your child, if you don't do drugs...
No. The thing is, if I do that, she said she would run, so...
She said she'll run?
Yeah.
Mr. Navarro, that's what they all say. That's what you're supposed to do if you feel as if your child is at risk. Do you understand?
Yes.
And then, if you have custody of your daughter, that gives her an opportunity to get a job, which now she doesn't have, right?
No.
And once she gets a job, you might get some of this money back. Won't be in the form of this, it'll be in the form of child support that she'll have to pay you to help take care of your daughter. You get it?
Yep.
That would be my concern, sir. My 11-month-old would be my concern. Is it yours?
Yes.
Good, your case is dismissed. That's all.
Muốn đi xuất khẩu lao động thì chúng ta cần phải chuẩn bị những thứ gì? Thì đầu tiên đó là giấy tờ. Thì để đi xuất khẩu lao động được thì chúng ta cần phải chuẩn bị đầy đủ các cái loại giấy tờ như là học bạ cấp 3, chứng minh thư, sổ hộ khẩu, giấy khai sinh, cái giấy khám sức khỏe, giấy chứng nhận các cái tiền án, tiền sự. Và để chúng ta làm cái hồ sơ xuất khẩu lao động, để chúng ta làm visa và làm cái hồ sơ xuất nhập cảnh. Và cái thứ hai đó là tiền. Tiền là cái điều kiện cần và để đủ cho chúng ta đóng các cái khoản phí khi mà làm hồ sơ xuất khẩu lao động. Nếu như mà không đủ tiền thì công ty xuất khẩu lao động có thể giúp chúng ta làm cái thủ tục để vay vốn. Và thứ ba là học tiếng. Thì trước khi mà chúng ta đi xuất khẩu lao động thì chúng ta cần phải học tiếng và phải thi qua cái kỳ thi sát hạch tiếng. Và thứ tư đó là tinh thần và cái kiến thức. Về cái kiến thức thì khi mà chúng ta muốn sống và làm việc ở nước ngoài thì chúng ta cần phải nói và cũng như là dùng cái thứ tiếng của đất nước mà chúng ta đến. Và chúng ta phải hiểu biết đôi chút về cái văn hóa, về cái cuộc sống tại đất nước mà chúng ta đến. Còn về tinh thần thì khi mà chúng ta đi xuất khẩu lao động ở nước ngoài thì sẽ có rất là nhiều người lao động của chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu sống cái cuộc sống tự lập. Chính vì thế mà cái thời gian để hãy dành cái thời gian để ở bên gia đình, bạn bè và người thân. Vì cái lịch làm việc ở nước ngoài và ở Việt Nam của chúng ta cũng khác nhau, cho nên sẽ có rất là nhiều thời gian. Những cái năm chúng ta không thể về quê để thăm gia đình, hoặc là chúng ta về ở những dịp lễ Tết với gia đình được. Và cái thứ 5 cần chuẩn bị đó là về hành lý. Hành lý thì chúng ta cần chuẩn bị như là quần áo, giày dép, các đồ dùng, thuốc uống, thức ăn và một số vật dụng khác. Xin cảm ơn tất cả các bạn luôn theo dõi kênh của tôi.